from the book The Late Great Planet Earth. It says the next war will not be with the Arabs, but with the Russians. And then he gives the verse in Ezekiel 38, and come from your place out of the uttermost parts of the north, you and many people with you, all of them riding on horses, great hosts of the army. You will come against Israel like a cloud covering the land in the latter days. I will bring you against my land, and the nations may know me when through you, O Gog, I'm vindicated and before their eyes. And then he says this chapter is entitled Russia is Gog. Makes a compelling argument that, very possibly Russia could have something to do with the land that's indicated. But the thing about it is that the Lord using a land to indicate who Satan and Antichrist are is nothing new. This was done with the king of Babylon, the king and prince of Tyre, the Assyrian, and here Gog and Magog. It's all highlighting who Satan and Antichrist is. The land is part of it because these surrounding nations are going to be used as coming against Israel. But the idea is not necessarily that the surrounding area is the main point to the passage. It's that Satan and Antichrist are involved and they're heading in leading the operation, the organization, not Russia. And so it's kind of a hyper Russia approach to the interpretation that was done in this book. And not focusing on the main thing, which is Satan and Antichrist. Now, then it goes and it says here on page 67, and it talks about the allies. Ezekiel partially catalogs the ancient times of the peoples and nations who would be confederates of Russia in 38, 5, and 6. All authorities agree on who Persia is today. It is modern Iran. This is significant because it is being wooed to join the Arab Republic in its hostility against Israel. The Russians are at this moment seeking to gain a foothold in Iran by various overtures of aid in order to mount the large-scale invasions predicted by Ezekiel. Russia would need Iran as an ally. It would be much more difficult to move a large land army across the mountains. Turkey, Iran's general terrain is also much easier to cross. Transportation, however, will be needed through both countries. Watch the actions of Iran in relation to Russia and the United Arab Republic. The writer believes that significant things will be happening soon. Well, now this book was written a long time ago, and it says watch. Well, we're watching, and we're seeing what's happening today. And Iran's now obliterated. They don't have the capability in their current form of being an asset to this alliance. The UAE is not only they're not against Israel, they're working with the United States right now. So this alliance that this book was bringing out has not occurred as the book said that it would. I'm not suggesting that in the future there won't be the alliance to fulfill the prophecy, but that's in the latter times. We're not in the latter times right now. And clearly, we're not. Which is why prophetic books like this, the late great planet Earth, that were written, they got it wrong. We're going to actually look at what Gog and Magog actually are, so we can begin to understand this. And then we can look more to the scripture and know that the scripture is going to be being fulfilled, rather than looking to world events and allowing the world events to dictate how we think about the scripture. Not saying that we shouldn't be watching things over there, but we're mainly concerned about what's happening with Israel, and then and how the rise of the Antichrist is going to take place to then bring about these alliances. But these alliances in their current form cannot happen without the rise of the Antichrist. And so therefore, if we don't understand these alliances with the rise of the Antichrist, and we just think, well, it's just Russia in its current form and they're just going to come against Israel, that would be the wrong approach. In Revelation 20, Gog and Magog are. And when Satan shall be loosed out of his prison at the end of the millennium, and shall go out to deceive the nations, verse 8, which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them to battle. That's Satan, and then Magog. Now Magog would be Antichrist at this time, not the same Antichrist that was used 1,000 years prior in the final generation, but it's the same spirit of Antichrist, and then the characters would be a little different. But you see, but it's Satan and Antichrist, and you see that the land is used. Now, what is Russia going to be involved in this at the end of the millennium here? I think that's not the main point, whether they are or not. The main point is the land is being used to show who the mysterious character or characters really are. And so to gather them to battle, and this is what the Satan and Antichrist do. They gather people to battle, and they come up, verse 9 at the bottom here, the breadth of the earth, and compass the camp of the saints about, and the beloved city. So they're coming against Israel. They're gathering people to come against Israel. That's what Gog and Magog do. That's what they do here. So if that's what they do here, and then we see them in Ezekiel 38 doing the same thing, well, then that's what they're doing there. And then now the identification has to remain the same. So to hyper Russia the situation doesn't add value to the interpretation. Verse 10, and the devil that deceived them is cast into the lake of fire. Now, at that time, and then the millennium ends and eternity starts. Now let's go to Ezekiel 38, verse 14. Son of man, prophesy and say unto Gog, thus saith the Lord, in that day when my people Israel dwell safely, shalt thou not know it? Now they're dwelling safely. Well, again, the conditions today doesn't fit this. So again, that shows that there's more things that need to happen. We detail this in the book Will the Red Sea Part again, when Israel goes back and actually reclaims their land under old covenant conditions, which still has to happen yet, and it has to happen prior to the rapture. That'll start the final generation, and then this can be true. So, of course, the late great planet Earth doesn't see that either. Now, but that's what's taking place. And thou shalt come from the place out of the north parts, thou and many people with the riding upon horses, a great company. Now, this is Gog and Magog. And what are they doing? Just like in Revelation 20, they're gathering. Same thing. That's how you know it's the same. Again, Russia is got, it's, I don't know, it's sort of irrelevant. This is Satan and Antichrist. And thou shalt come up, verse 16, against many people as a cloud covers the land. Same wordage, same concept as Revelation 20. And it shall be in the latter days, and I will bring thee against my land, O Gog, before their eyes. Verse 17. Art thou he of whom I have spoken of old time by my servants, the prophets of Israel? Who speaks out against, of the prophets, speaks out against Russia and talks about Russia? Nobody. They all talk about Satan, though. They all talk about the kingdom of darkness. Satan is in the Bible. He's mentioned in every book. He's always coming against the kingdom of heaven. And that's why the prophets all talk about him. And that he of whom I have spoken by my prophets, which prophesied in those days, many years, that I would bring thee against them. And so these prophecies that take place, this battle that takes place deep into the 70th week, is talked about by every prophet. Satan is talked about by every prophet, always coming against. Revelation 20 is also a prophet. And they talk about this, and that's Satan as well. And if you don't make these connections, then you're not handling the scriptures properly. Now, it's okay to make mistakes, but this book the late great Planet Earth was written many years ago. We needed to have the correction by now. We need to correct the mistakes. And that's what needs to happen, and that's the point of this video, to correct the mistakes of mainline evangelicalism, because this book, The Late Great Planet Earth, has had such an effect on Christianity and still does to this day, but it needs to be corrected, though. Before we close this video out, I want to go back to this alliance with Iran mentioned in The Late Great Planet Earth, because it's so relevant to everything going on today in the news. And what's happening is, not only is the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and those surrounding nations right now not joining and coming against Israel and showing no signs of doing it, but they're actually asking President Trump to not bomb Iran again yet. And Trump, out of respect for those countries, has obliged for the temporary time being. So this throws a very big wrench in this concept that they're all just going to get together and this is going to happen at any moment. And I'm not saying that the rapture isn't pre-trib, and I'm not saying that there won't eventually be some sort of an alliance to fulfill the prophecy. But I see this battle as happening late in the 70th week, and I see more things having to be fulfilled even before the rapture, though. And clearly, the disconnect between what the late great Planet Earth said was going to happen and the way that it's developing today clearly supports our thesis that there's more things that need to happen even before the rapture, the pre-trib rapture. Now, we do detail this in the book Rule the Red Sea Part Again, and we talk about the start of the final generation and how that's going to have to happen prior to the rapture so that Israel can get back into their land again and the third temple can get built, and then that start of the final generation provides time before the pre-trib rapture occurs, which would then also provide time for these alliances to reform in a way that they're not formed today in order to line up with the prophecies. So thank you for watching. You know, as the church age goes on and more data comes out and we can continue to look at things from other angles, we need to be increasing our understanding in this area, and that's the primary aspect of how the Spirit works. And so if we can see that correction needs to take place, we need to go to the evangelical leaders and we need to, in love, tell them and encourage them to go back, revisit the scriptures so that we can get a more accurate picture, because it's not so much the Spirit working through the leaders as it is the Spirit working through the Word. And so the accuracy of the Word has to be more important than the leader itself. And so if correction needs to take place, then we got to bring the correction. And so let's continue to search the scriptures out to see if we can grow in these areas. Thank you.